Hello, Dexter Morgan.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Surprise, mother...
Enough!
Season 1 of Dexter Resurrection ended with blood, betrayal, and more questions than answers. Fans have gone wild creating theories about what comes next, from shocking returns to dark family twists. But some of these ideas are so insane, they might actually be true. Today, we're breaking down every crazy theory about Dexter Resurrection Season 2. So which of these theories could actually happen? Let's start with the one fans can't stop talking about, the return of Al.
This is a much easier way to vet my victims. Time to hear the tale of Rapunzel.
All right, I hope you like my little movie, Mr. Prater.
Al's disappearance was one of the biggest loose ends in Season 1. Dexter thought he'd cleaned up every last member of the murder club, but Al slipped away. Now, with Dexter holding his real identity, Al Walker, it's personal. This theory suggests Dexter will hunt Al down, but fans think it won't be that simple. Al is the kind of predator who adapts. If he's still alive, he might be stalking Dexter instead. Imagine a season where Dexter becomes the hunted, his own code turned against him. That alone would flip the entire formula of the show. The next theory dives into Harrison's fate, born in blood, abandoned, and surrounded by death.
What the hell are you doing?
Are you Dexter Morgan? It's me, Harrison.
Harrison.
You can't. Everyone close to you dies. That's why we're here.
Harrison's trauma mirrors Dexter's in terrifying ways. He's tried to resist his dark urges, but his violent past keeps catching up. Remember when he broke a kid's arm in wrestling? Or helped Dexter kill Prater? Some fans believe Season 2 will show Harrison embracing his darkness fully, becoming the new serial killer the series revolves around. Others say he'll form a father-son killing duo with Dexter, a twisted version of Batman and Robin. Either way, Harrison's inner struggle is bound to explode, and fans think it'll be the emotional core of the season. Few deaths hit fans harder than Deb's, but her presence never really left Dexter. She's the voice in his head, the last piece of his conscience.
It's on the floor. Are you ready for tonight?
And with Harrison walking the same path, the theory goes that Deb might reappear in Dexter's mind again, this time to protect Harrison from his father's influence. Imagine Deb's ghost arguing with Dexter while he tries to train Harrison. It would be chaos, morality, and guilt all colliding. If there's one voice that can break Dexter, it's Deb's. Now for a theory that fans either love or hate, Hannah McKay faked her death.
Can I help you?
Miss McKay?
That's right.
According to the show, she died of cancer off-screen, but fans aren't buying it. Hannah was a master of poison and deception, capable of escaping anything. She once drugged herself just to break out of prison. What if she pulled off one last trick, leaving Harrison to believe she was gone? If she returns, it could shatter Harrison's world and reignite Dexter's most dangerous love story. The writers brought Dexter back from the dead once, so why not Hannah? Here's where things get even darker. Angel Batista's shocking death at the end of Season 1 wasn't just tragic, it set the stage for vengeance. Quinn, his former partner, has lost everything because of Dexter, Deb, Batista, and his peace.
It's enough. He obviously is in shock.
His wife just died. He's submitting a lab report. Seriously, the next door neighbor, the guy with the, forehead, he was more broken up about Rita than Dexter was.
Fans believe Quinn will return in Season 2 to uncover the truth behind Batista's murder, reigniting the Bay Harbor Butcher investigation. Unlike past detectives, Quinn knows exactly who Dexter is, and this time, he's not holding back. A Quinn versus Dexter face-off could be the most intense chase the show's ever done. But not everyone wants to see more returning faces. Some fans think the constant callbacks to Miami are holding Resurrection back. They argue that Dexter's story has evolved. He's in New York now, surrounded by new killers, new allies, and a more complex moral world. Maybe Season 2 will finally let him bury the past for good. This theory suggests the show will focus entirely on new villains and a new psychological war, letting Dexter become something we've never seen before. A man trying to survive without his dark passenger guiding him. If even one of these theories comes true, Season 2 could redefine Dexter again. But imagine if several collide. Al hunting Dexter, while Harrison falls deeper into darkness. All while Deb's ghost tries to stop him, and Hannah resurfaces to reclaim her son. Every part of Dexter's past would come crashing down at once, forcing him to face what he's always feared most, the monster he created in his own image. At its core, Dexter Resurrection is about legacy. Fans don't just want kills, they want closure. Whether that means Dexter training Harrison or finally meeting his match, Season 2 could be the ultimate test of his morality. Theories are fun, but they all lead back to one haunting question. Can Dexter ever be redeemed? And that wraps up every crazy theory about Dexter Resurrection Season 2. Which one do you think will actually come true? Drop your wildest predictions in the comments. And if you're still watching, type Dark Passenger Returns, so I know you're one of the real fans. Dexter's world is full of killers, but not all of them deserve the same fear. From pathetic pretenders to monsters who tore Dexter's life apart, today we're ranking every Dexter villain by pure danger, level 1 through 7. Some were laughable, others nearly destroyed him, and level 7, they left scars that never healed. But what really makes one killer more dangerous than another in Dexter's universe? Is it their methods, their brutality, or how deeply they cut into Dexter's own psyche? Let's find out. Level 1 villains are all talk and no terror. Big in name, small in threat. These are people like Matt Caldwell, Levi Reed, and Stan Liddy, characters who thought they could challenge Dexter Morgan but didn't stand a chance. Levi Reed was a drunk and a drug addict, a brute who thought size made him dangerous. But Dexter handled him with one dose of M99 in a dark alley, child's play. Matt Caldwell wasn't much better, arrogant, remorseless, and reckless. He became Dexter's first victim in Iron Lake, and it didn't even feel like a challenge. A rusty Dexter, out of practice for nearly a decade, still took him down without breaking a sweat. And then there's Stan Liddy, the disgraced cop turned wannabe investigator. He got close to uncovering Dexter's secret, but lacked the nerve to finish the job. Even with Dexter tied up in his van, Liddy fumbled it. That's level 1 for you. No real strategy, no survival instinct, just fools who crossed paths with a predator they couldn't comprehend. Level 2 villains were a step up, but only barely. They could trip Dexter up for a moment, but never keep him down. These are the distractions, seductive, obsessed, or just dumb enough to make things interesting. Lila West tops this group. Manipulative, chaotic, and dangerously obsessive, she nearly blew up Dexter's double life just because she couldn't let go. She destroyed his home, murdered Dokes, and even tried to kill his family in a fire. But Dexter tracked her to Paris and ended her story with one knife to the chest. Then there's the Skinner, whose only talent was peeling skin off his victims. Gruesome, yes, but not smart. Even after catching Dexter, he couldn't finish the job. Ray Speltzer, the muscle-bound maze killer, wasn't much better. Big, loud, and stupid, killed 3 women, thought he was invincible, and got buried by Dexter with a shovel. Level 2 killers were messy and violent, but their egos made them predictable. And predictability is death when you're up against Dexter Morgan. Level 3 villains had potential, but they were blinded by emotion. These are the obsessive types, driven by love, family, or vengeance. Miguel Prado fits perfectly here. Once Dexter's ally, then his biggest mistake. Miguel learned too much, got too confident, and started killing outside the code. Dexter had to clean up the mess, permanently. Christine Hill, Trinity's estranged daughter, also earns her spot. Desperate for her father's approval, she shot Frank Lundy and nearly killed Deborah Morgan. But her instability caught up with her, and she took her own life before Dexter could. Captain Aaron Spencer, a cop turned child abductor, also lands here. Motivated by rage over his cheating wife, he kidnapped and killed innocent kids to get revenge. He had power, but no control. Level 3 villains always have the drive to kill, but lack the discipline to survive. They could wound Dexter emotionally, but never outplay him. Level 4 is where things get dark. The sadists. These killers don't kill for passion or power. They kill for pleasure. Think Jordan Chase and his Barrel Girls gang. They kidnapped, tortured, and murdered women under his twisted take it philosophy. Chase brainwashed his followers into thinking they had the right to kill, a cult of killers that nearly destroyed Lumen and almost exposed Dexter himself. Then there's the tattoo collector, a lunatic who flayed his victims alive and kept their skin as art. Or Mia LaPierre, who blinded her victims before killing them, purely for the thrill. These were Dexter's worst nightmares made real. Not because they were smart, but because they were unstoppable until someone stopped them. Dexter did. He dismantled them one by one. Level 4 villains are the embodiment of chaos. Disturbing, unpredictable, but ultimately manageable for someone as methodical as Dexter. Now we enter the masterminds, Level 5. These are the killers who could truly challenge Dexter's mind. Travis Marshall, the Doomsday Killer, led this group with religious zealotry. Believing he was chosen by God to bring about the apocalypse, he staged elaborate murders tied to the Book of Revelation. He poisoned, decapitated, and even tried to sacrifice Dexter's son, Harrison. He came closer than almost anyone to defeating Dexter. The Gemini twins were another threat. Two brothers who tricked everyone, even the FBI, by posing as one person. They killed in pairs, arranged victims in the shape of zodiac symbols, and nearly tracked Dexter back to his home. Al Jolly Walker was another standout, charming, sadistic, and cunning enough to flee before Dexter could strike. These killers were intelligent, meticulous, and terrifyingly patient. But Dexter's cold logic always found the cracks in their plans. Level 5 killers could shake him, but not break him. Level 6 villains? That's where the line between manipulation and mastery blurs. These are the people who didn't just fight Dexter, they got inside his head. Hannah McKay is one of the few who survived his table. She was seductive, patient, and lethal. She poisoned for convenience, killed lovers, and somehow made Dexter fall in love with her. She even drugged him and Deb, and still lived. That's power. Then there's Kurt Caldwell, the small-town king of Iron Lake. His influence let him kill for decades without suspicion. When he found out Dexter killed his son, he burned Dexter's house, kidnapped Harrison, and turned over evidence that nearly put Dexter in prison. And finally, Isaac Serco, a mob boss assassin fueled by grief and vengeance. He stalked Dexter openly, almost killed him at a donut shop, and proved that even a monster can love deeply. Level 6 villains had real control over their image, their influence, and their enemies. They made Dexter sweat. But the final level? They made him bleed. Level 7, the Apex Predators. These killers weren't just dangerous, they redefined Dexter's life. Brian Moser, the ice truck killer, was his own brother. The moment Brian returned, Dexter's world cracked. He forced Dexter to relive his mother's murder, nearly killed Deborah, and exposed the fragility of the code that guided Dexter's entire life. Trinity killer Arthur Mitchell took it further, a church-going family man by day, a monster by night. 3 decades of killing, over 250 victims, and a mask so perfect even Dexter admired it. But Trinity shattered everything when he murdered Rita, leaving baby Harrison in a pool of her blood. That was the moment Dexter's darkness became grief. And then came Oliver Saxon, Daniel Vogel, the brain surgeon, cold, brilliant, merciless. He killed his own mother, cut open victims while they were awake, and put Deborah in the hospital with a bullet that left her brain dead. He finished what Trinity started, destroying Dexter's humanity, piece by piece. These level 7 killers didn't just test Dexter's skills, they tested his soul. Each one forced him to face the truth, that maybe the most dangerous killer in Miami wasn't any of them. It was Dexter Morgan himself. And that's every Dexter villain ranked by danger, from forgettable pests to the monsters that broke him. But who do you think was Dexter's greatest threat? Drop your pick in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into Dexter's dark world.
He knows how we work. Look how he hits every major theme: political, environmental, religious. In one section, he manages to weave together Julius Caesar, Berlin, Germany, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Gandhi. It's scattershot. He knew that this would send us scurrying like squirrels for nuts.
Yeah, but to suggest that he might be one of us, how can you be sure?
Would Dexter Morgan actually outsmart the FBI in real life? That is the question we are breaking down today. We all know Dexter as the Bay Harbor Butcher, a man who lived a double life as a blood spatter analyst by day and a meticulous serial killer by night. But what if we stripped away the plot armor and handed his case to the real FBI? Would he slip through their fingers, or would the Bureau's modern profiling and surveillance eventually corner him? Think back to Season 2 of Dexter, when the FBI was called in to investigate the Bay Harbor Butcher case under Special Agent Frank Lundy.
All right. The Bay Harbor Butcher case is now a Miami Metro case, and it is shaping up to be the biggest one in our history. We're now at 14 confirmed. The FBI has sent over their top man, Special Agent Frank Lundy, to help solve this crime.
That storyline gave us a glimpse of what a federal investigation might look like. But let's push the fiction aside and ask something bigger. If Dexter truly existed, and if the FBI launched a full-scale investigation with all of today's resources, could he actually survive? Or would his flaws and slip-ups eventually betray him? That is where this story begins. The first red flag the FBI would notice is Dexter's social behavior. On the show, his inner monologues explain why he pauses, why he hesitates, and why he seems so detached in conversation.
Dex, I got this huge break in the Bay Harbor case.
Oh, I mean, really?
Guys, we're not going.
I refuse to believe that Vince Masuka is the man who single-handedly brings me down.
But in reality, no one would hear those inner thoughts. All they would see is a man staring blankly during jokes, showing no empathy during grief, and often mimicking emotions he does not feel. From a profiler's perspective, that is a huge sign of abnormality. The FBI's Behavioral Analysis Unit studies patterns exactly like this. They look for people who fake emotions, who stay oddly calm during tragedy, and who never quite mirror genuine human reactions. Dexter checks all those boxes. In fact, James Dokes picked up on it just by gut instinct.
What about these? The hotel cokehead murders, this dealer and the girl.
Dokes, the only one who gets the creeps from me.
I'm still waiting for his spatter report on the cokehead murders. Go do that.
It's okay.
I'm watching you, mother.
Now imagine a full team of FBI profilers analyzing the same behavior. The suspicion would multiply quickly. The second red flag is Dexter's career itself. On the surface, working as a blood spatter analyst is the perfect cover. Who would ever suspect a forensic expert of being the killer he is supposed to help catch? Yet in reality, this would be a glaring conflict of interest. Every time a new body turned up, Dexter was right there in the middle of the investigation. The FBI would ask the obvious question: why is the same analyst always tied to cases linked to the Bay Harbor Butcher? And when you add in the detail of the bloodslide trophies, it only grows more suspicious. In the show, characters like Maria Laguerta connected these dots with nothing more than basic police work.
Where's Jimenez now? Murdered by the Bay Harbor Butcher? So who was more likely to want Jimenez dead? Dokes or Dexter?
Oh, come on.
No, Tom. We can't ignore the facts. The Bay Harbor Butcher took blood slides from his victims. Dexter... is a blood spatter analyst, and Dokes always thought there was something off about Dexter. What if Dokes was onto him? Jesus, what if Dexter is the real Bay Harbor Butcher?
If she could draw the connection, a federal task force with advanced databases and technology would close that loop even faster. Surveillance is where the FBI would tighten the noose. The Bureau has far more resources than a single detective like Dokes, who often made it obvious when he was tailing Dexter. Real FBI teams can run wiretaps, place GPS trackers on cars, monitor bank and phone records, and assign multiple agents to follow a target around the clock. Every late-night trip, every unusual purchase, every missing hour would be documented. When a washed-up ex-cop like Stan Liddy managed to get close to Dexter with almost no resources...
You're Quinn's friend.
That would be me. FYI, Stan Liddy is my name.
Imagine what a coordinated federal team could uncover. It would not take long before Dexter's pattern of nighttime disappearances and ocean trips raised undeniable red flags. That being said, Dexter is not an easy target. His intelligence and adaptability cannot be ignored. He is meticulous with his crime scenes, careful with his alibis, and skilled at masking his tracks. He would not go down without a fight. But intelligence alone cannot erase the human factor. Other people eventually notice. From Dokes to Deborah to Lagerta, almost every character who looked too closely at Dexter eventually discovered the truth. The problem was they never lived long enough to expose him. In real life, however, the FBI is not a single individual. It is a system, and systems keep coming even after one agent makes a mistake. Dexter can silence one detective. He cannot silence an entire bureau. So let's imagine the chase. At first, Dexter would probably continue undetected, maybe for years. Like many real-life serial killers, he could rack up dozens of victims before the FBI even linked the crimes. But once the Bay Harbor Butcher case existed, once a profile was built, the countdown would begin. With every kill, the FBI would connect patterns. With every lie, Dexter would add inconsistencies. Surveillance would capture suspicious movements. Financial tracking would reveal unusual purchases. Phone records could expose late-night calls or contacts he could not explain. The web would tighten piece by piece until Dexter found himself trapped. Now comes the climax. Could Dexter still outmaneuver the Bureau? For a while, maybe. He is resourceful, clever, and thrives under pressure. He could delay the inevitable. But the FBI does not play for days or weeks. They play for years. They do not need to prove everything at once. They only need enough to corner him. And eventually, Dexter's biggest weakness would surface. He can control his actions, but he cannot control the suspicions of others. Co-workers whispering, supervisors second-guessing, friends noticing he is never home at night. All of these small cracks would build into a case too large to escape. So here is my honest estimate. Once the Bay Harbor Butcher investigation was active, it would take 6 months to 1 year for the FBI to put Dexter Morgan behind bars. Without that case, he could operate for much longer, maybe even decades. But once the Bureau turned its eyes on him, the combination of profiling, surveillance, and persistence would overwhelm his carefully built mask. Dexter's brilliance might buy him time, but it would never buy him freedom forever. And that is the truth. Dexter Morgan might be a master of deception on television, but in reality, the FBI would eventually catch him. The only real question is how long it would take. Do you think he could last longer than a year once the FBI was on his trail? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into fiction colliding with reality, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories that break down the dark side of our favorite shows.